Hello and welcome to part 3 of a 3-part series of me painting in my sketchbook of a scene I took with my camera at Glacier National Park. In this video, I'll be adding in all the darks, and this video is in real time so you can see me as I mix the paint colors. So I'm mixing a pretty vibrant green right now, and I just grabbed some paint that's kind of like a reddish brown to help tone down that green color. When you want to tone down a paint color, you add its complementary color to it. So green and red are complementary colors, and so that's why I added a reddish brown. I believe it was my Terra Rosa by M. Graham & Co. is the color that I added to that pretty bright green that I was mixing. And you'll see now that it's more of a subdued kind of olive green. So I'm just playing around with my script or liner brush. It has really nice long bristles, the hair of the brush, and so I can use the really fine point or kind of lay the hair of the bristles to the side, kind of like when you shade with the side of a pencil, you can cover more area. So I find this brush really versatile and helpful when I paint certain areas, like if I want a wide area covered or just some little details. If you're curious to how I painted the first layer of this little painting, my sketchbook, go ahead and check out the previous video, the part 1 of doing the first layers in my sketchbook of Glacier National Park. This little area I'm adding paint in right now is still slightly damp, so the edges are going to be soft, kind of feathered, which is a fun little effect to play around with, is to monitor how damp or wet your paper is as it dries, and then you can just add in some more color and kind of let it flow around on the paper. Depending on how wet or dry your paper is how the paint is going to react. here is a photo I took that I am using as reference. So I'm just finding where I want my next darks to be, and then I just start painting with my paintbrush. And painting with watercolor is really about understanding the ratio of water to the watercolor paint. And watercolor paint is basically just the pigment, so the color, and then a binder, which is usually gum arabic, and the paints that I primarily use, which are by M. Graham & Co., they add some honey to it. So you'll see on the lower right, I have, it's called a wallet. It has these little pans with magnets you attach to the bottom, and they stay where you put them. And so I put my paint in there. The paint I purchased comes in tubes, and so I just squeeze some paint into a pan and I let it dry out, and then I paint with it. The beautiful thing that I love about watercolors is that if your paint dries out, you can still use it because you just add water to reactivate the paint and you just start painting. And there's this thing I call palette mud. You can see my mixing tray on the upper right. It has a lot of color, and some of that color has been in there for a while, and I can just keep using it for other paintings. And if you are interested in getting either the mixing tray, the watercolor pan wallet, or even this sketchbook, I have them linked in my Amazon storefront. So if you want to see what they are, you can check that out. And if you do purchase through my Amazon storefront, you are helping support me and my slight addiction to buying more watercolor paints and brushes and mixing palettes and sketchbooks. In these dark areas, you can really see the painting come to life. That's how I see it. I start with a really light wash for the first layer, and then I start building up the dark values. So here I am softening an edge. I painted a dark color there. It was a little too dark, so I rinsed my brush quickly and wiped off a bunch of excess water, and I added the water directly to the paper and helped water down or lighten the pigment within the paint to make a lighter color for that area of the painting. So watercolor, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to play around with, and if something's too dark, you just add water, or you can even take your paper towel and quickly gather up the paint that's on your paper. So now I'm just watering down that dark area, kind of like I mentioned before. If it's too dark, you just add some clean water and it will lighten it right back up. For many of my paintings, I utilize the white of the paper and adding water to have light areas. And when I want some more white, I just don't paint there. And I barely get any water there, so that the paint won't accidentally migrate to an area. But in this painting, you will see in the third video that I actually add something to the painting to bring out the whites. So this area, I am not liking how dark it is. You will see in just a moment, I'm going to grab a paper towel and I am going to lift that paint off of the paper because it's just kind of muddy and it's not looking right. So here I go. So I just lifted the paint that I just applied to the paper off of the paper with a clean corner of my paper towel. And I've noticed, depending on the paper towel that you have, you need to be careful because the little quilted pattern on the paper towel can kind of transfer and show on your painting. So you have to be mindful of how you fold your paper towel so that you don't show that pattern. But you know, that could be a fun little touch to do if you're not concerned about leaving a pattern of quilted paper towels in your painting. So now I'm adding a little bit of shadows on the rocky mountaintops to show how the rocks look. So just adding some definition with some dark colors and really making them look like the mountaintops that they are. So here I am just adding some more definition, some darks that can really pull a painting together. And so, you know, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to do something special for this little painted sketch, my sketchbook, to add in the whites. I would love for you to take a guess of what I'm going to do. So take a moment and head down to the comment section and leave a comment to let me know what your guess is how I am going to add some whites to this little painted sketch. So here I am kind of blending out or feathering this line along the little painted area I did. I wanted it kind of softer and blended out. So I just added some clean white water to my brush and then did a nice long smooth stroke along the area to soften or feather the line. And so it's not a hard edge in the painting. So here I am doing that again. You can just watch that watercolor flow on over. So I'm just softening or feathering the hard edges of where I laid down my watercolor paint. So now I'm adding even darker greens to this little forest area on the lower right to really help add some definition. So I have like a lighter green, a mid-tone green, and this really, really dark green. It's almost black, it feels like, but it's still green. And so that adds some more texture and definition. You can really see how the dark areas in this painting helping it bring it to life. In some areas, you know, my first wash of the light colors pretty much disappears, but you can still see hints of it underneath and behind and around the little dark forest areas. And so I really feel that having a really nice soft wash for the first layer can help add some unique features to the painting. That way you just don't see the white of the paper everywhere unless you really want to have the white of the paper in certain areas. So I'm just grabbing my little detail brush and getting some of my dark blackish color of the palette mud, and I'm just going to add some more definition with this little detail brush that I have. if you enjoyed watching me paint in the dark areas of this little sketch in real time, please make sure to take a moment and click that like button. I'd really appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, I would love for you to do that if you enjoy watching plein air painting videos. Me painting in my sketchbook, very similar to this one, along with some tips for beginning watercolor artists. Hey friend, I really hope you enjoyed watching this. If you want to see the first part of me starting out this painting, make sure to check out that video. And then make sure to tune in next week to see how I finish off this little painting in my sketchbook. And if you are a future viewer, I hope you can jump over and watch that video. And don't forget to leave a comment about what you think I'm going to do to add in some whites of the snow to this little painted sketch. And then that waterfall. You can slightly see the waterfall tumbling down the Rocky Mountain side into the forest and then the green slopes. hoped watching me paint in my sketchbook today has helped inspire you on your watercolor painting journey. You know, you don't have to paint everything all at once. You can do it in layers like I have done in this painting. You can do it over a number of days, or you can just do it in an afternoon. It doesn't have to happen all at once. And I hope you understand that and don't have to feel rushed to make something. I've been painting for many years now, and part of a painting is the journey. It's not always creating a masterpiece every time. Thank you for watching, friend, and happy painting.